Are you prepared to sustain that?
Okay, so I disagree on multiple accounts. First of all, I don't. You kind of made a non-informative answer. What you just said was vacuous. You said through God's creation, it supports
Yeah,
God's existence. How is that the case?
every
That's just a
fact,
claim.
okay, every fact that we come to contact with possesses actuality. It could only possess actuality if and only if it was indicative and revelatory of the eternal. Okay? Now, this is a dichotomous situation. Either you're going to accept that or you won't. So, which is it?
I don't accept that.
Okay, so then you're making an implicit counterclaim. Do you realize that?
Sure.
Okay, so then what you are saying then is that any facts that you are acquainted with, so-called facts, putative facts, they are not indicative of the eternal. Well, then that will rob the
Okay.
actuality.
Also, you said that's not actuality, though. Actuality is demonstrative of truth,
No. Actuality is what something actually is. Okay?
which can only be made through empirical demonstration.
No, sir. That's simply wrong. You okay? All right. Wow. Okay. How old are you?
I'm 17.
Okay. You have a deeper voice. Yeah. You're quite. How shall I put this without sounding rude? You're quite uninformed philosophically. What you are advancing is called empiricism. Do you realize that?
Yes.
Okay. Empiricism is self-refuting. So empiricism
How
is the
so?
position. I'll explain it to you. Empiricism is the position that the only things that are worthy of believing are those things that are verifiable through our senses and empirical endeavors. Okay? Is that your
So, what's
position?
your contention? Yes.
Okay. How was that truth statement verified empirically?
Uh, it's a foundational claim that's axiomatic.
Okay. Listen to me. What you just gave me was bullshit. Okay. If you take a course in philosophy with any philosophy professor, even if he is a rank atheist philosophy professor, he will agree with me.
If you want,
Okay.
I could present an argument.
I'm trying to explain this to you. Okay. This is not even negotiable. It's not even debatable. Okay. You cannot empirically demonstrate the following statement. The only things that are to be considered to be true are those things that are empirically demonstrated. How do you empirically demonstrate that? Well, give me a concrete empirical methodology to demonstrate that truth claim.
Well, that's why it's a foundational claim.
No, you're not understanding. You're giving me another bullshit response. And you know what? You're getting off to a very bad start at 17 years old, and you're lying through rhetoric here. Okay?
How am I
Do you know what?
lying?
Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. Do you know what positivism is?
No, I do not.
Logical positivism. Logical positivism is the precursor to empiricism. Logical positivism is the idea in the early part of the 20th century that the only beliefs that are worthy of believing, that are to be considered believable or coherent, are those that we can verify through our senses. Empiricism is just simply an extension of that, but it's basically the same thing, right? How do you empirically demonstrate that the only things that are worthy of believing are those that are empirically demonstrated? How do you empirically demonstrate that? And don't give me rhetoric. Tell me how you empirically demonstrate it.
Uh,
Do you do it by looking through a telescope? Do you do it through looking through a microscope? Can you demonstrate
well,
it
that
with?
would be empirical.
Okay. How do you empirically demonstrate the following proposition? The only beliefs that are worthy of accepting as true or that are coherent are those that are empirically demonstrable. How do you empirically demonstrate that? What methodology do you have in mind? That's empirical.
On the grounds that it's unchallengeable.
Okay, you're giving me a bullshit answer. If you continue to do that, I will kick you from the room.
If you want, I could give you a different argument.
No. I asked you to give me an empirical methodology that demonstrates the proposition.
I think it's rational to hold because it's the most
Monkey boy,
intelligible.
listen to me carefully. I'm going to warn you one more time. I'm about to kick you from the room. I have no patience for somebody who responds to me and they're lying through their teeth and they're dodging the question. I want you to give me an empirical methodology right now that demonstrates the proposition that the only beliefs that are worthy of believing are those that are empirically demonstrable. Give me that empirical methodology right now.
Wait, can I rationalize an answer?
You have 10 seconds or I'm going to kick you. Give me the empirical methodology now.
Okay, you're representing a black and white fallacy. That's not the two only
Goodbye.
options that can be
You're a
convinced.
well-practiced liar. Okay. See, this is the little game that they play: dodge, 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 dodge. Okay.
And
I asked him over and over again for an empirical methodology to demonstrate the claim that the only beliefs that are worthy of believing are those that are empirically demonstrable, and he never did. He didn't give me an empirical methodology, did he?
that's
Even Steve knows that.
I also know that there's only one realistic answer, and Darth knows that too. The answer is there is none.
No, that's why I'm trying to show him that people taking a stand. You see, he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, even an atheist professor of philosophy wouldn't be so stupid as to make that error.
And
They understand that. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm no philosopher, Darth, but I know by listening to you enough times that you ask questions where realistically there's only one answer that's actually true. And if you don't get that answer, you're going to ask them again. You're going to give them the time to give you the answer. The only answer is there is none. And if you hum and haw, then you either don't understand or you're not being true.
He's 17. He's grown up in probably the public or private school systems where we glorify science because science has brought us many wonderful things like cell phones and movies and all this kind of stuff. But the point is, what he doesn't realize is that empiricism is self-refuting. Okay, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you lie to me one more time, you'll be gone permanently. Okay, so are you going to give me the empirical methodology? I don't want to hear anything else that comes out of your mouth. Give me the empirical methodology that demonstrates the proposition.
I don't have any.
Okay, so you don't have any because there can't be any. That's why empiricism, which is a permutation of logical positivism, is self-refuting. Okay?
Wait, but how did you determine that?
Okay. It's self-refuting because it's
How did
self-contradictory.
you determine that?
The only propositions that are worthy of believing are those that are verified by our sense perception.
But you're saying that
How is that?
insufficiency.
Listen, I'm explaining it to you, sunshine. I think I've learned a little bit more on this planet being 61 years old than you do at 17. I think I know a little bit more than you do. Okay? Now, it is widely accepted within the ranks of philosophy across a spectrum of metaphysical beliefs, including atheist professors of philosophy, that logical positivism, which has also permeated into what is called empiricism, is self-refuting because the contents of the proposition cannot itself be verified by its own standard. Okay?
But you have yet to determine because
Are you this
there's no
craven? And you
sufficient
know what?
adequacy to actually justify the empiricism.
I pity you as a 17-year-old man that you are so committed to being deceptive at such an early age. Okay? Listen carefully.
How am I being
Listen to me. Do you think I'm making it up to you? Listen to me. Do you think I'm making this up that logical positivism is nearly universally regarded as self-refuting in the world of philosophy? Do you think I'm making that up?
But you realize it doesn't logically follow that me being invalid means I'm deceiving.
Listen, I've been doing this for 12 years. I've debated thousands of atheists. I know when people are being evasive and deceptive. It is relevant. Okay? Because with experience comes knowledge and discernment. Okay?
Do you know what polylogism is? Every individual is an individual in their own set of mind. That's what selflessism works.
You're 17 years old.
Yes, I'm 17.
You're barely out of your teeny bopper years. Okay? And you know so much, don't you? Are you an atheist?
Yes.
Good. Tell me why God doesn't exist.
Sure. So, There's something called Aristotle's four causes, which is material cause, efficient cause, formal cause, final cause. They're axiomatically contingent to each other to say that there's a material cause or efficient cause without a material.
Stop right there. Okay. Is there anything that is singularly ultimate that dictates all states of affairs?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's not a loaded question. When people are afraid to answer a question, either because out of ignorance or they don't know how to defend either the pro or con, they say it's a loaded question. Can you tell me what a loaded question is in one sentence?
Something that makes an assumption.
No.
Your question of
no, sir.
Yes.
A loaded question.
You're
is
presupposing something in your question.
No, it doesn't matter. All questions presuppose something. Therefore, if a loaded question, if you ever talk me again, I'm going to kick you from the room. I won't just move you back to the audience. You don't know what you're talking about. What you're typically doing is a retort that people use as a strategy, that when they don't want to answer a question, either because of their own ignorance or they can't defend either the yay or the nay, what they will say, they will retort as saying, well, that's a loaded question. A loaded question is not one that contains an assumption, because then that would mean that all questions are loaded, because all questions are laden with assumptions. Do you realize that? Do you realize all questions are laden with assumptions?
I reject that.
Okay, goodbye. You're an idiot. Okay, all right. See, this is why you just can't deal with certain people in social networks like this, is because they will just lie through their teeth about anything and everything. So it's pointless talking to them. So in other words, if I ask Steve, did you have a cup of coffee today? There are no implicit assumptions within the question.
And also, for our friends in the audience that have trouble seeing, while Darth asked about the loaded question, I went onto the internet, take it for what it's worth. I'll read it. Darth, I'm assuming you'll agree. But it says a loaded question is a form of complex questions that contain a controversial assumption.
Controversial assumption.
Yes, correct. Controversial assumption. Such questions may be used as a rhetorical tool. The question attempts to limit direct replies to be those that serve the questioner's agenda. That's what I got off the internet.
Yeah. So to put it succinctly, a loaded question is a question that contains an otherwise objectionable premise or assumption to the questionee that the questionee would not agree to. Okay.
And for me to put it simply, basically, Darth is asking a question which really only has one answer. When Darth asks these loaded questions, he's not asking because he doesn't know the answer.
It's not a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's a dichotomous question. Okay. Yeah. And they're
questions. He's not
he doesn't let people talk.
It's a dichotomous question.
Yo, he's such an idiot. So I was trying to inquire, right?
And answering
he said like
yay or nay.
He banned me from the room. He banned me. I got kicked from the room. I no longer can debate him.
Yep.
Yeah, Darth is an idiot. The fuck?
So he argues like what is ultimate and foundational security and what cannot be, right? Or can and cannot be, as like some ultimate, right? And then absolute, that would be the hierarchy of God. Which that is loaded. What is he talking about? Not loaded. It presumes that something it must be indicative of such without demonstrating actuality. That it necessitates that. Yet he claims that to be the case. When I try arguing, I tried giving him my argument, right, for causal relations, and then you see how he cut that off because he didn't want to actually find a good argument to like slap him. I was going to argue that everything that has an efficient cause has a material cause, right? But of course, once he heard that, he started to talk over.
Yeah, of course he did. Hold on.
All he does is his presuppositional script.
Monkeyboy, do you think that space-time is 4D, like should be any plus?
No, obviously
no.
Not. No. But
okay,
anyway,
so we're in the same boat. Okay.
No, of course not. But he's so dumb. I want to make an all in debate him.
He's gonna fucking ban you again. He's gonna realize who you are.
Yeah,
I know, but
Put a voice
loves-
changer and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm 23
I
years old."
don't have a voice changer.
you know you can download voice mode or some shit like that.
Not mobile. Yeah, he's such an idiot though. I was gonna give him my material causal relation argument that
Wait.
everything that has a material relation has a material cause. So, and since they're axiomatically contingent to one another, it's impossible for that to not be the case. Was in the case that God is bounded by axioms. We know this through the laws of thought and laws of logic that God is instantiated by the law of identity, not the other way around. He doesn't instantiate the law of identity. God himself possesses identity. Also, he can't. He also doesn't contradict himself and not contradict himself, or he doesn't exist and not exist, right? So he's not above the law of non-contradiction nor excluded middle. So evidently he's bounded by axioms that also being causal relations. So when I present the idea that, and then he was saying that was dichotomous, that was a black and white fallacy in where he's giving me only two positions or answers, which I tried saying, and he's like, no, listen, kid, I know more experience. He doesn't even justify it. And then when he said, oh, empiricism cannot justify itself or is self-defeating, I asked, how did you determine that? And then he says, and he doesn't give an adequate response.
That was the thing he said.
That was
Hey,
the smart thing he said.
Bro, he was
He
like,
doesn't understand too.
That
He
was
was
like
like
the other professors. He was like the other professors agree that the fucking
They
can't
do.
be proven empirically.
Like I
And
care.
bro,
Like he talks about all the facts that you're acquainted with justifying actuality, but he doesn't represent anything
does.
demonstrative of his own state of mind. No, it doesn't. How? An ontological claim is something that something exists, and then in order for something to be ontologically true, it has to correspond with actuality rather than being potential. He argued that the potentiality of nature would be true. I asked, can you demonstrate that through actuality? And he ceased to do
didn't.
that. Yes, I did.
No.
He had no like literally he just made a sufficient
He
account
did.
of speculation concerning a treaty of likelihood because that God and
No,
I asked him how you determined that. What do you mean? Were you even watching?
not at all.
Yeah, you're such a troll.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
he believes God exists.
I also wanted to give him another argument for God not existing.
Well, then you should be attacking his
Like,
theological
well,
you
beliefs.
know he
No, because he tries to force
No,
apologetics upon me. So I try and talk, and then he has mod powers, of course, right? So he's like, no, talk again on mute.
He
Give me,
banned you.
and
He literally fucking
yeah, he banned me. So, but he said, I want a yes or no question. When I try to explain that's a black and white, and he's like, no, this is your last time, kid. You think I haven't done this before? You're a 16-year-old boy. You still haven't finished growing. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not relevant. He's like, no, it is for experience, and
That
I'm
is
like,
relevant.
okay, stop trolling. Like, shut up, bruh. But the fact that God has no material cause in relation to him being an effective cause is self-defeating. In order for something to have a causal relation, that it would be indicative that they possess a material cause. Okay, so the four causes of Aristotle are axioms in relation to causality that is in correspondence to truth in reality, and they are contingent upon each other. So the fact that God doesn't produce a material cause justifies he didn't create the universe. If God is immaterial, and then he went from a state of affairs in which he existed to a state of affairs in which he never existed, you can have the causal contingency between God and the universe. If a normal person is still, a table appears, there's no mechanism in which we can delineate causal relation to that person. He just was there, and the table appeared. There's no material cause in relation to the person creating it. So let's take his here. Like, okay, so God is above material cause, right? An axiom that's false because he's bound by laws of thought.
8:30.
He's bound by some modality, but not other. That doesn't make logical sense. The other is the fact. Let's argue that instead of material cause, he has spiritual cause, right? So spiritual cause allows him to produce material cause without being material in himself. But that represents the idea that now he's a spiritual being. I could just represent indeterminate presuppositional position onto my actual recipient or interlocutor who presents the idea that if God is spiritual, how can he, and he has a spiritual cause, can God also have a spiritual cause? That being yes, and what determines God is not made by another hierarchy, which then they can't. So either way defeats the argument there. What else? I have like a bunch of arguments against God. Well, also he's made by a material mind, or not material mind. He possesses a mind. He's his own agent. He has agency. He has his own conceptualization, and he has conceptual mental mode. Yes, because he is just like the hierarchy, but that doesn't make any sense. So
Okay.
and nothing substantially so it's not determined at all. I can't say my mind doesn't make logical sense. So God is both bounded by axioms and possesses a mind without instantiation of any other state of affairs that is not causal contingent onto this foundational argument that is indeterminately presuppositional. If you're going to argue that God is a material cause, right, at all, I can make the same foundational claim that the universe is eternal and possesses no material cause in relation either. It just always existed, or an infinite regress that never had a logical beginning. So all he does is argue through
monkeyboy,
PreSupp.
that's not how it really works, though.
What do you mean?
But hey, I'm not really much of a like. I'm not trying to get to like a religious argument, but like.
I mean, I would like to hear your view. What
Yeah,
what do you think?
Cause of a universe. Okay, the cause of a universe didn't need a cause.
Yeah, I don't think the
Yeah,
universe
or something.
needed a cause. I guess
No,
it existed.
but
I think
or
the universe
something.
is eternal.
Nah, hold on.
Metalogical,
say-
ontological,
Wait, okay,
naturalist.
okay, all right, okay, hold on. So now something for God, the supernatural being that was born before time, that existed before time, in which we can't
But that's false,
comprehend.
actually. I can give you an
Why would that-
argument
okay,
that
so
proves he's
it's
bounded by
cause.
linear time.
So hold on. So wait, all right, give me an argument on why he's bounded by linear time.
Okay, well,
Yeah, he might be able to hold on.
first,
He might be able to correspond to linear time. Yeah.
no,
but
he's bounded.
That's not what the
He
problem
moves
is.
linearly across time. So
Linearly across
the
time.
argument is this: God existed before everything. That's a state of affairs. We could call that point A. Then God went from a state of affairs in which he existed in the universe. That's point
Wait,
B.
what do you mean by
God moves
affairs?
linearly across point A to point B.
Wait, what do you mean by affairs?
What do you mean?
Oh
What?
wait, hold on. You said
Point.
affairs. I didn't.
No, I said a point. That
So
from
okay,
point A
repeat
to
your
point B.
argument. I did not understand it at
Okay,
all.
well, you understand change is the measure of time, or time is the measure of change, rather. So if there's change by any means, there's a measure of it, or a measurability, whether or not we're capable of measuring that. So the fact that there's two state of affairs that are represented linearly, right, because nothing was before God, and there's only what is after. So God existed, then him existed with the universe and the cosmos and reality separate. So those are two different states or states of affairs in which moves linearly across. It evidently goes point A to point B. There's no before God, so then impossibility as he's foundational. So
Yeah, I didn't
logically,
understand
God
your
moves
argument.
from.
You're gonna have to
Okay,
repeat yourself.
do you think I should represent it as a syllogism?
Do whatever for me to understand.
Okay, so premise one, God existed prior to creation.
Okay.
Premise two, God transitions to affairs in which he existed along with his creation, both existent.
Wait, repeat that.
Premise two, God transitioned from a state of affairs in which he only existed to him in the creation, both
State of
exist.
affairs. Oh wait, that was a question I was asking. What do you mean by affairs?
What I mean by state of affairs? You know what a state of
Yes.
affairs is, right? It's just a circumstance,
No.
situation, state.
Circumstance, situation.
Yeah, it's a scenario basically.
Oh, so a scenario.
Yeah, so he went from a state of affairs in which he only existed to a state of affairs in which he and his creation existed. That's premise two. Do you disagree? Do you reject so far, or are you fine?
I'm fine with whatever you're saying. Okay. Continue.
Okay, so God's state of affairs changed from he to only, or from he only to exist to God and his creation. That's premise theory.
He
Kind,
only to
it's kind of tautological.
Okay,
yeah, it's kind of tautological
okay.
to premise two.
I see what you're trying to say. So from point A to point B, there needs
Yeah,
to be
and
some
premise
time.
four. Yeah, premise four is the state of affairs changed from point A to point B linearly.
Okay, well, I don't think this would mean that he's bounded by it, but he's corresponding to it.
Do you reject premise four? The state of affairs changed from point A to point B linearly.
Continue.
Oh, so you don't reject? Okay.
No, I never said I didn't reject.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wanted to see what.
So then, what's your okay? Okay, so you're not going to propose an argument. You just want to
no, I'm just wanting
discuss.
to hear out your arguments.
Okay. Yeah, and then premise five is time is the measure of change. Premise six is God is bounded by linear time. Therefore, God cannot be all powerful as space time is above him. But I have a pleasure of arguments, including contradictions within theology.
Okay.
I have arguments directly against presuppositional apologetics too.
What's your disagreement?
But Darth didn't let me.
Do you know the transcendental argument for God?
Probably, but probably not by title.
Well, it's like so like there's like basically you like assume God exists, and then like he seeks to like demonstrate a necessity of the assumption in order for humans to be able to like possibly gather the knowledge that God exists.
That doesn't make. That's
Okay,
not very
so
coherent.
okay. Look, God exists and he seeks to demonstrate the necessity of that assumption in order for human knowledge to be possible.
Reiterate that one more time.
Yeah, okay. God exists, right? And he seeks to demonstrate the necessity of that assumption in order for human knowledge to be possible.
Sure.
No, I was just telling you, do you have any disagreements with that? With chances that's an argument for God? I just
That's
wanted to
it.
know. No. I just described what it was. Never
Oh,
stated what
okay.
the argument was.
Well, from that, it's very nebulous, vague. I don't see. There's not really much to challenge. I mean, there's not an impossibility in which I could challenge, but no, I don't have any contention from there. Yo, Splash,
So
did you actually record the
that's how
video
you
with
lost.
Darth or no?
I sent you the whole recording.
All right. What were you saying, Chopper?
So remember the
Just saying that.
presuppositional apologetic argument that whatchamacallit? Charletta made?
Yeah.
Okay, you think you could debunk that now, or
Yeah. Also, I DM'd King Xerxes and Jack Strike. King Xerxes was like, I wouldn't debate him if I were you. You're gonna get kicked in like 5 minutes.
That's literally what happened.
Yeah, I told him I kicked him, and then he sent me a like an image that says you
No.
don't say. And it's like,
I don't think so. Splash.
What?
Yeah.
Why don't you answer me as soon as
But
possible?
did you hear? Did you hear Darth
Because
though? He said that.
What were you trying to ask though? Why did you say, "Yo, you got to answer"?
I
Like,
needed a really big favor at that moment, but it was already too late. They already gave judgment.
Oh, you were in a debate
Yes.
with who?
Don't worry about it. It's too late now.
All right. Did you lose?
I slammed.
Then
The throne judge agreed.
Damn.
Wait.
Was
Also,
this something good?
I want to know, Chopper, what is your argument against this? I just made this right now, like from my mind. I wasn't even like trying to bring it up. Yeah, I just thought of it right now. I wasn't even like thinking about. So basically, it's if God is the necessity for facilitating all faculties and warranting the understanding and logical intelligibility of truth.
I don't understand.
How come I can challenge God to being true? Okay, if God facilitates truth, meaning it's necessary that truth is the product of God, how come I can challenge truth of God? How is there a contingency through his product to him?
I don't understand what. I don't understand.
Okay, so truth is anything that corresponds with reality. Truth is just a property of a proposition, and a proposition is deemed true or truth apt if evaluated to corresponding to reality accurately. Yet, if God both facilitates truth and reality, how come I can reverse the contingency and argue the truth of God, who is the necessary facilitation of truth? How can something that is true be capable of, or how is the creator of truth capable of being challenged to being true?
So something that is capable of being true, how can it be challenged of being true?
Yeah, because he transcends everything. He is what warrants and facilitates and faculties and fortifies the understanding of reality through truth.
Not gonna lie, that's not even like a good argument.
So what's your contention?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a contention to it, but it's like we all have a different set of knowledge power. Like, but I'm not even trying to debunk this, but like this is like the argument that you made would be based on like how much we know about God.
Well, we know that he instantiates everything, correct? Everything is a product of him.
Sure, yeah, everything is a product of him.
Okay, so then how come truth can be redirected to its creator if he transcends everything he created?
How can truth be redirected to the
Yeah,
creator?
is he not above Platonic ideas, Platonism? I can challenge conception to God.
Yeah, again, but this is only attacking the knowledge that we know, monkey boy.
That's not very.
No.
I don't really understand.
I'm not even like. I know what you're trying to say. I specifically too. It's just our knowledge power is very limited to understand someone like God. But hey, I'm not trying to say like. I'm not trying to say this as an argument though. I hope you understand that.
Also, you know what else doesn't make sense? If God was eternal, right? He's basically, how do I say this? He's in an infinite regression of mental states arising at the point of creation of the universe. So that means he simultaneously exists currently as he was eternal. He simultaneously exists before creation as well as with creation. That's kind of incoherent. He's existing prior, like back then. That's a very obscure concept, but I don't think it's much of an argument. But also,
Wait, I just like, I'm not even like, I just think we like, me, myself, and you, like, I don't think we understand what God truly is. Like, let's say God,
isn't that
yeah,
just a
okay.
God of the gaps argument?
No,
That we
I'm not
can't know God.
monkey boy. You're taking in as everything I say as like an argument. It's just, I'm just saying, like, if God really did exist, we just wouldn't be able to understand him no matter what.
So then, how would you determine or verify he's true?
Faith.
So
But hey,
you
no,
admit
hold
that
on.
there's
I think no, I'm
incapability.
not. Hold on, I'm not trying to admit to anything. It's just like it's easier to argue for something that we can't really see or like know.
It's easier.
Yeah, to argue against.
Oh, against.
It's
Okay,
easier.
yeah.
Yeah, it's easier for someone to argue against. That's pretty obvious. Pretty easy to be atheist.
Okay, but if
Not
you're gonna
that
say
hard.
that something that is like non-empirical, so it's beyond sense data, you're gonna say something that is empirical logically exists, right? Now that just presents an idea, right?
I
Let's
don't
say
think no
Samson.
one. I don't think no one really argues the existence of God with 100% confirmance. It's just that their
Well, they
knowledge is
argue
limited.
through logic and deduction rather than
Okay,
inference, because obviously there's no empirical state of proving God, who is spiritual and immaterial, true. But I'm saying there's no logical rationale that actually presents truth within the argument of God's existence.
I didn't understand what you said.
Okay, so God is immaterial, so we can't use materialism or any form of natural or indicative ontological relation to justify induction or empiricism, because God is not empirical. There's no sense data or physical relation between God. He's obviously immaterial, he's spiritual. So if he's immaterial, the only way to rationalize he's true is through rationale that justifies deductively that he is to exist. But even then, there's no adequate and arguments that justify that God is true. Even then, there's nothing attestable to logical rationale that logically follows that God is true, nor indicative of such.
I still didn't understand.
Okay,
Neither
so
either.
okay, God is immaterial, so we can't use empiricism to understand him. Is that understood?
Okay.
Okay, so God is immaterial. We can't use I can't justify a non-physical thing through physical evaluative stuff. So there's no modality under physical nature that I can justify God because he's immaterial. So we use rationale and deduction to logically convey the ideology that God exists, right? Like things with syllogisms to justify God as a necessitation, or even like PreSupp. But even through all the facts that I'm acquainted with, or all arguments I've been presented with, there's no rational argument that is indicative of God's truth.
Mm-hmm.
Was that understood?
I understood, but okay.
Also, if you say God is a brute contingency, right, because he's foundational, meaning that he has no logical grounds or reasoning to facilitate him, he just exists, that's something called an indeterminist hypothesis, which can just be changed for the ideology of that same argument, justifying the universe's non-facilitation. And technically, it would be objectively superior because Occam's razor explains how inferences of models that are two equally
I don't.
competing hypotheses,
Mm-hmm.
that whatever holds less leaps or leaps in assumptions or valued leaps in assumptions or contingent assumptions would be objectively superior to hold, as if they're both equally competing, the one that is less convoluted would be indicatively the case. So they're both foundational arguments that are indeterminate presuppositions, but you just add God. So mine's is the reality facilitates the universe. Then you just add God facilitates reality, which facilitates the universe. But even then, that's more. Both factors just an additional contingency. Also, the fact that God possesses mind, emotions, and is bound by axioms. So it would be objectively superior to suppose that the less contingent, less assumptive-based argument that is equally competing as an indeterminate hypothesis that is foundational to the argument of reality structure to be the case in naturalism or materialism.
But Monkey Boy, do you expect when you argue with someone to like understand what you're saying?
Well, I thought you were amped by Apollo. I thought you understand.
No, my mind goes blank all the time. I don't understand most of the things that you say at all.
Mm.
No matter who, it doesn't even matter who would hit me. It's like I would not understand what you're
Yo,
saying.
what's up, bro?
Okay, let me
Why do you-
explain something.
Why? Hold on. Listen to Monkey Boy real quick. Let me know if you understand him.
So everything that has an efficient cause has a material cause. An efficient cause is an actor or an agency, right? Like, let's say a carpenter, right,
What do you mean
produces
by
a table.
agency?
An agent. You know what an agent is, right? Like an
Bro,
individual.
these pretzels are about good as
Oh,
shit,
an
bro.
individual.
Yes, an agent.
Okay.
So the agency is what has the capacity.
God,
Okay.
these are so good,
Okay.
bro.
I'm
Bro,
a
Give me
geek,
those
bro.
pretzels now. Give me them now.
Yo, shut up, bro.
I'm gonna reach you.
Wait, Monkey Boy, do you just record anything you say at this point?
No.
How do you have the power bot in here?
Because I want to record after the Darth Dawkins event.
Hey,
What
Monkey
the
Boy,
heck?
did you debate Darth Dawkins?
Yes, I did.
Bro,
Darth
he
Dawkins
what
banned,
is-
topic?
he banned Monkey Boy.
Yo,
Yeah, he banned me.
What topic were
Darth
you guys
Dawkins
doing?
sucks.
Huh? No, Darth Dawkins is good.
For real.
He's intellectual, but he's
Bro,
an
he got
idiot.
scared of Monkey Boy. He banned him.
Bro, I'm scared of Monkey
No.
Boy too.
He couldn't
Wait,
refute Monkey Boy,
Wait,
so he
Monkey
gets a
Boy,
ban.
Monkey Boy. Do you think
Monkey
Darth
Boy's too scary,
Dawkins
bro.
lost because he banned you?
I don't know. I don't really go by that. I don't really go by people who kick me lose.
Bro,
But
Chopper
yeah,
better say that's what he
but
gets to say.
if Darth stood there and actually had an intellectual dialectic, I would have probably defeated him. And I would love to have a lot. Like, I kept trying to present my material argument in contingency with Goddamn, but he just wanted to. He can't leave the script. You know, he can't lose focus on the script. That's what everyone says. Everyone who knows. Yes, he does. Just like Mr. Batman.
That's cap.
That's a presuppositional argument. Well, it's from his mind. It's not like he already has it memorized. He's been doing debating with theology for 20 years, and then like 10 years before that, he was an apologetics teacher in colleges. And before he became a dentist and he went bankrupt. You know that he lives with his mother right now because he went bankrupt.
How do you know that?
I've seen at least like 60 videos of Darth Dawkins debates. I've seen what is it? Godless Girl stream. Oh my god, that was so toxic. It was actually the most messed up thing I've ever seen in my life. But yo, they doxed Darth so bad, and they were just like chewing on him. They're eating him like dogs.
Why?
Because they just hate Darth because he's a Christian. I guess I don't know.